So we got to try to keep as much water under control as possible. Now your windshield cleaning with 50/50, right?
No, straight alcohol.
Okay. So I always wonder, and I'm always paranoid, I always show up at the window tinter usually with my windshield completely dialed and clean. I'm assuming most people don't do that, right? Now for you, I just showed up dirty, riding dirty here. So what do you recommend? I mean, did some shops just kind of wipe it down real quick and call it a day? Would you recommend people showing up with a, you know, super clean windshield?
It's always best to have the cars dust free as possible, because the little specks that you see here and there, that's airborne dust. It usually comes from the car, usually comes from the air, usually comes from us.
Right.
You can't keep 100% of it out. So the cleaner you get it, the better it is.
But like if I show up with all kinds of smears and stuff on my windshield, you'll get that out with what, IPA and a razor blade? Is that kind of what you do beforehand?
I'm going to use a scrubby pad on the inside of the windshield. If I feel anything in there, then I'll take a razor blade and spot clean.
Yeah.
But most of it, you can get it cleaned off without having to do that.
Gotcha. So I had Air Blue 80, Llumar Air Blue 80 on here, and I had to remove it, or actually it was part of the other windshield, so I got the new windshield replaced. So I want to get make sure the dash and interior is protected, so I'm getting the Crystalline 70 put on it. So you're gonna have to cut this sucker out manually too?
Yeah.
So what is this stuff, like a couple grand a roll?
It's quite expensive.
Yeah.
What I
Not the stuff you want to be messing up your cuts on, right?
No, sir. What I find in this industry is the installers that try to use this and they end up not being able to perform or install it properly.
Yeah.
Because it is a very expensive product, they choose not to use it anymore.
Yeah. Yep.
Which, you know, it's a very difficult product to install.
I'm sure. So now, does this have to shrink more than others or less? Same?
It's quite a bit of shrinking to do.
Yeah.
It doesn't shrink the same as other films.
That's the tough part.
Biggest problem.
Yeah.
The Crystalline is 200 plus layers. So in order to get the film to shrink properly and to look right, you have to actually mold all 200 plus layers. And I say 200 plus because 3 of them doesn't really give us an exact number.
Yeah.
We just know that it is over 200 layers and it's a multi-product.
I remember the first window tint job I ever got was on my S2000. The guys freaking axe murdered all of my moldings. From that point forward, I've always vetted the guys that I let touch my freaking window film.
Well, I feel privileged.
You should, because I'm a freaking maniac. And then we'll bring the GT350 up and get that. We'll do a full. Once I make Larry didn't want to be on camera, I talked him into it. So when I bring the GT350 back, after I make him look really good on this video, that one's going to be cool because we have to do the whole thing. We'll probably do color stable 20. What were you saying about the Crystalline 20? Just doesn't, they've been having, kind of looks funky.
Yeah, they've come out with a Crystalline 20 now to give you a little bit more privacy in the back of the vehicle.
Yeah.
The colors are a little bit funky at the end because it is in the first stages of invention.
Yeah.
Because Crystalline for 3M is an innovator, I do have all the confidence in the world that they'll eventually get the product.
Yeah. So what we'll end up doing, we'll do the I guess you would call it slightly lower end, color stable, and then we'll just do 70% on the front of the GT350. Summer's coming, I need to get it done. I've been slacking on it. Yeah, because that takes a good solid 6 or 7 hours to get the thing done.
Just trying to get the film to relax a little bit and kind of get ready to
on the curve.
use.
So this is the shrinking step.
Yeah, use a heat gun to mold the film to the curvage. I choose to use a Mac tack, which is a very soft squeegee, so to speak. Mine is actually about 5 or 6 years old. It's made a lot of money for me. It's not ready to be retired at the moment. The ideal is to try to heat up all the layers evenly and allow it to cool before you start squeegeeing. A lot of guys use hard cards, which to me it's a little bit more abusive to the film itself because it doesn't forgive.
Gotcha.
The Mac tack is a little softer, very similar to like the glove method. A lot of installers like to use the glove on their hand, and that way they can mold it with their hand.
For this film specifically, or for any?
They're shrinking techniques.
Yeah, gotcha.
It's not necessarily for this film, but they do it for this.
So what could you do wrong? You scratch it up, or?
Well, with the Crystalline, if you go too fast with it, you can blur the layers.
And so it won't shrink evenly, and then you'll have kind of funky.
Yeah, it have like a blurry, really nasty look through it. So when you as a driver looking through the film, the most important part is to the clarity.
Yeah.
And when your eyes fixate on an area that is like distorted or anything like that, it can cause a little bit of a problem.
Makes sense.
Now a lot of us, we tend to have our own techniques. 3M does go as far as they can to help train on these particular products.
And then through trial and error, you just kind of figure out your own way of...
It's trial and error, absolutely. And I have found a couple of ways that work real well for me. What I'm doing is I'm trying to warm up the film in the entire area that I got to do. And you'll watch me, I'll back off and let it cool a little bit. You can sit here and see the film relaxing and changing shapes as we go.
So this is why it costs several $100s to do just a windshield with Crystalline, right? It takes a lot of expertise and time.
I'm going to blow a little bit of heat underneath.
So you do it in what, roughly eighths?
Yeah.
Quarters, eighths, something like that?
Basically, I'm going to do a quarter of the glass, within that quarter.
Yeah.
The main thing is trying to really be patient with it and allow the film to mold properly.
And the purpose of shrinking is because when it gets in the sun, it'll end up shrinking if you don't do it beforehand, right?
No. The purpose of shrinking is actually to mold the film to fit the curvature of the glass.
Ah, okay.
If it was a flat glass, this would be not necessary.
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
Since this film is flat and the glass is not, we have to manipulate the film to fit the actual glass itself. I do the traditional H pattern across, maintain my center and my up and down. See me holding this down quite a bit because I want it to stay there.
So do you need to take the same amount of care with the side windows and rear as you would with the windshield?
Yes. The windshield's a little bit more crucial because you're
Looking through it.
looking, staring through it.
Yeah.
But it's the same concept when you're doing the side windows. You gotta hold all the layers properly.
Yep. That's what we're dealing with 70% film. That's the difference. Very subtle, but heat rejecting. So how do you know when it's shrunk? When it lays flat and there's no more?
Yeah, I'm watching how it's laying down. And since I got to cut all this out, I'm trying to put all the stress right there, so I'm just cut it right out.
I see. Yeah.
Pretty much got everything molded except for that little top corner here.
All right, so it's all shrunk, and now he's got to cut it. How many times have you done it where you sat there, shrunk it, and then cut it wrong and redo it? Probably don't do it very often anymore. No?
I've been lucky.
Either that or you just make it fit.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Yeah. Cut around the rear. No, I'm going to expect all that dot matrix to be perfectly dialed, right?
Oh, I know it.
I mean, there's not really any way around it. There's always going to be some error in the dot matrix, right? I mean,
Yep.
doesn't matter what you do. I mean, I've heard you can like glue it and stuff, but then it never comes off, right?
No, the problem with gluing is you're introducing a separate adhesive system to the films. And the issue with using the glue like that, and most of them are using like Elmer's white glue,
Yeah.
the UV damages it over time.
So it gets all funky.
So you see an ugly color over
Yeah.
time.
Touch up a couple of shrink spots. And he's ready to do it. Now is 70 less forgiving than 90? Like, do you have a bigger chance of making like weird looking spots and stuff?
Not really. The reason why you consider it a little bit more difficult or anything like that is because of the color.
Yeah.
The 90 is virtually invisible.
Yeah.
The only thing you'll see there is possibly distortion if you keep the layers.
Mm-hmm.
With this one here, you can distort the actual color in it, and
Gotcha.
it doesn't necessarily have any dyes in it. But because it being a multi-layer, it will stand out more like silicone.
Yeah, so we're all shrunk. Ready to put the thing on the windshield. Did you
Soft scrub first.
Did you get rid of my E-Pass thing?
I took it back here and it's set right back here.
Gotcha.
It's still safe.
Aha.
Something like this, I really consider it being more personal, so you've got to get up and close with it.
Yeah, the trick is on these cars, like I was telling you, is that the too much water runs down under the dash, then my freaking electronics went nutty. I thought I was screwed. Eventually it dried out, and luckily everything went back to normal. So.
And it will dry out for just about any vehicle.
Yeah.
Every now and then you do get a little bit too much water and it'll fry a circuit board or something like that.
Yep, that's what I
And
want
that's
to
definitely
avoid.
what we're trying to prevent.
Yep. That's what I want to avoid.
down the static charge.
So that way it slides.
Well, it creates a static charge when you pull it off the dry windshield. And so by knocking it getting wet, nothing's going to fly to it as close, you know, as hard.
No paint in the rear. There we go. Done. Just leave it. Gets it fit, and then squeegees all that water right down into my dash. It's about a gallon of water right down in there. It's so cool.
See how the edge gets a little wet?
Yeah.
It is grabbing quite a bit of water.
So then he'll just go around and work out all the little spots and make sure it's tiled.
When you get Crystalline put on the windshield, you definitely got to allow enough time for it to dry properly.
Yeah. Yeah, every windshield I've ever done, you've got it'll haze over for a couple of days. And
yeah, the moisture in between can give you a little nausea feeling when you're driving. So you don't want to have that.
Yeah, I'm used to it. Yeah, get my goofy 3M logos off of them. Yeah. That was the big rub in the beginning. I remember people driving around looking at 3M because the installer forgot to take it off. It just wipes off with alcohol, doesn't it?
Yeah. Just regular 70% alcohol takes it right off. No problem.
Yeah.
All it is just an ink print.
Talking about the little, see the little 3M logo there. Probably hard for you to see. There's another one right here.
I think we're good to go.
Nice. She's pulling off the little ink labels. One last wipe down and we're done. So here's the key to success on all of my future vehicles. Your fingerprints and stuff that's all around the paint, I want to see them. Leave them there. You know why? Because I don't want you touching the paint with those microfiber towels.
Trust me, I wasn't going to wipe it.
Don't do it. Don't even think about it. You know, when I go to the dealer and I like pick up a new car and they're like freaking out, I'm like, listen, I want to see the dirt off the truck. If the dirt's not there, then I know you touched it. That's bad. They just can't fathom why anybody would want their car dirty, new. I said, well, there's a reason. So we're dialed.
Dots look pretty good.
No more need for sunglasses. Yeah, the dots do look good. There's the man.
Yeah, I got all here.
All right, so I'm home from the tint shop. Couple things to notice. Here's the Crystalline sweating. I don't know if you guys can see the circles, so that, you know, that's what happens when the Crystalline tints, the oils tend to come to the surface. And so when you let it sit in the sun for the first time, you'll get that. But the windshield is done with 3M Crystalline, 70%, of course. You know, it looks really dark in here because I'm under the, you know, under the covering, but the install was flawless, man. Larry is a freaking man. I mean, my other guy was good. This guy is like world class, I think. Dot matrix is perfect. You know, I'll have to let it sit out in the sun to get it dialed in, but just make sure any, you know, air, any water. I don't even see any bubbles. Normally I will see some bubbles and stuff that then eventually evaporate, but he's good, man, so good. So the windshield is dialed. Successful day today with the tint, with the section here. Anyway, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more. What happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor.